Hello there. Well, I'm working through jelly rolls at the moment, and they're 2.5 inches strips, and they come padded together. And on my other sewing machine, which is cleaner than this one, I have a Pincushion, and basically it's just strapped around and then it's there. And I didn't think I'd miss it, but obviously now I'm on this machine, I'm missing it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pincushion out of these jelly roll strips. Now there's any number of animals, bugs, anything, even just circular ones that I could do. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do leaves, and I'm going to do a couple of purple petals. So I'm going to differentiate the petals. I'm going to make, okay, yeah, I think that'll work better. I'm going to make the petals circular, and I'll put a couple of doofs in there, and I'll put the leaves spiky, and a couple of doofs in there. And then obviously I'm going to have a pincushion. So, and I'm not 100% sure if I can do that with this. Okay, I might have to get a different bit of fabric, but that's the plan. So I've got several little bits left, and it is a case of, well, what do you do with the little bits? I'm going to line them up. So I've got 2 bits of matching green, and freehand on a normal sewing machine, what I'm going to do is, actually, that's not what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to start from one end, and I'm going to do giant zigzags. So I'm going to spin that round, and I suppose I could have done it in a nice contrasting colour for you, the thread that is, and I'm going to sew my leaves. Now it is going to be a case of, this is going to be with the sewing machine, and also I'm going to do a little bit of hand sewing just to do the gathering and stuff. Now I'm not a huge fan of the gathering, I'm not a huge fan of hand sewing, but you know, we can manage, can't we? So I think that's enough. Let's just cut this out so you can see what I'm doing. Now this sewing machine as well, it has quite a wide girth here. On my black Singer, it literally is that thick. So, you know, there's nowhere I could draw you a pattern, because I don't know every single sewing machine, and I don't know where your buttons are as well. Obviously I don't want this near the plug end, just in case when I put it in I catch a little bit of the cable. So, you know, do I put it there? I definitely don't want it over the air vent, because then we'd have all sorts of problems. I'll be going, why doesn't my machine work? And what's that funny burning smell? Okay, so I made quite a mess of this, but you can see what I've got now. And then it's a matter of turning it inside out. And the reason I kept it all in one go is just to make life easier for me when I gather it up. I might use a knitting needle just to push out my corners. And what we've got here, you can see it's all sort of twisting up, so we'll just keep an eye on that when we gather it up. So that's what I've got so far. I'm going to do, I believe I've got enough to do a darker row of leaves, so it's going to be quite full, and I don't believe I've got much purple left. I must like the purple. So, in fact, I haven't got enough purple to do petals, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the actual pincushion out of the purple. So I've got to sew it together, and I've got to use quite a small stitch because this is going to be pulled quite tight. And then with a bit of stuffing in there, and then I'll just pull it round. Okay, so that's what I've got to do. I'm going to be back with you when I've got something more to show, really. Alright, thank you. Hello there. Okay, so, I think the next step is to stuff the pincushion. All I've got here is wadding. Stuffing, yes, I suppose you can buy toy stuffing, yeah, you can buy wadding, you could buy a pillow and use that as stuffing, or you can use scraps as well. The thing about pincushions though, they do need to be quite firmly stuffed, so you know, yeah, and because that's the sort of ball I was using, it's far too small. I'm going to go for bigger. There we go. So yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is cotton wool doesn't wash very well, so if you think, you know, but then it's only a pincushion. Do you wash pincushions? I don't know if you do. I've never washed a pincushion. No, I can't even say I've squirted it with Febreze. Okay, so I've got my ball of stuffing and I've wrapped it up in my sewn together piece of jelly roll strips. I have a piece of cotton here and I'm wrapping it round. Okay. That's good enough for now because I'm going to tidy it all up afterwards. And I have here the leaves that we sewed, and I'm literally just pushing a gathering stitch through, like a really loose tacking stitch. I'm not going to get rid of all of my loose ends. Obviously I'm going to tuck it all in at the end because there's going to be several bits that have got like raw edges, but I am sort of tucking them in. I'm not deliberately keeping them out. So I now need to pull this tight, but not tight, but tight to go round the tail end of my ball. So I need to space them out, and then I've got my thread here. So yes, if you have 3 hands, you'll be really good at this. Lovely. Now what I'm going to do is, now that I've got everything straight, and spaced out, and it's probably boring for you to watch, but it's when you're happy you can do it. Alright, just so it stays there for whilst I'm talking, I now have my other leaves with a loose bit of thread, and I'm going to place them alternatively. Okay? So with your 3 hands, and the thread from there is this one, and then I can wrap that round. Now I still have the needle in the lighter green one, so what I can do is, now I've got it held in place, I can tack it up, and it is only a tack at this stage. So there's my thread, and I can literally just push that through. If you've got a thimble, great. All I'm doing at the minute is making sure it holds in position whilst I do the next stage. That's all I need to do. So I'm now going to just finish pushing through the needle, and I'm going to take the needle out because I don't want any surprises later. But it is quite firm, and it's just the twisted bit of the grips and everything. Okay, so that's what we're left with. That's what the finished project would be like, and that's the bit we have to sort out. But first of all, we need to sort out how to attach it to the machine. Now, as I'm doing it, as using up my jelly rolls, I'm going to use the jelly rolls. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. We are going to make a kind of strap. I can fold this in half, and then I can fold these quarters in. Now this is polycotton, so I know that even if I just do that bit, put it in the machine, that the rest of it will follow, and I haven't done anything to this. Of course I could pin and I could iron it, yeah, but I can just, using that as a sort of clamp, I can fold these 2 over, fold those over, and tuck that one in, because that one's being naughty, and then quite easy to do, yeah? Or I could fold it in half and then turn it inside out. Now it's not as hard as that sounds. If we sew something like a piece of cord or something, or a piece of elastic, and then we can use that to assist turning it round, and I have a knitting needle here, which I'm not going to get rid of. Yeah, I bought them up here as a sort of prop for a make, and they're staying. Rarely a day goes by that I don't use those knitting needles. Okay, so yes, waffling aside, I could have done this and talked at the same time. So I'm just putting the sewing machine to sew, and I'm folding over as I go. Obviously, pinning's great, ironing's great. When you're doing this, one of the things when you're always top sewing is it's very easy to hold it down here, and then you can take more of the bottom than you can of the top. Now even that couple of inches back here, I've already got to a point where I've got to make sure that I'm pushing more of the top through. And I'm just doing that with my fingers. Or you can make sure you hold it upright. And as soon as you correct it, then, you know, you might get away with it. Otherwise, it's a case of unpicking again, which we don't love. So I've stopped half an inch from the end, maybe an inch, and just trim that thread. And what I can now do is I can now fold this in, and you see I'm putting my finger halfway round, and then these little tucky bits will just tuck in nice and easily. So I can now seal off the end. And yes, because we're selling knitting needles today, I can always tuck my loose bits in with there. So and again, I'm going to cut the thread this time because otherwise I'll be tucking it in, and I'm just going to literally tuck those in now. Okay, so this is long enough to actually tie, but I do have some stick-on Velcro as well, and I think I will use that. I did intend to buy normal Velcro, the sew-on type, and I know it kills the needles, you know. Just sewing on a little tag for this would probably need me to replace the needle. So, you know, yeah, buy whatever you can really. If you have to sew it on, then do change your needle afterwards. And if it is giving you problems, it is because it's just a needle killer. I don't know why. So it's always a good idea just to double check that you're happy. I'm happy. Okay, so we have this. I've clasped it firmly in my hand, and with my crafting scissors rather than my needlework scissors, I am going to trim it off. You know, I say crafting scissors, this will damage your needlework scissors, so they will. And yes, so yes, this isn't going to leave my hand till the next stage, and I can even push some of these loose threads. Lovely. It's entirely up to you. We've got that now. Whether you sew that on straight to there, or we could just sew on a little square and keep it all tidy. Now, I'm not that good a sewer, a hand sewer, you know. I think my personality type pales on that one. So I have my needle here, and I have a square of cloth. Now this square of cloth is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and I know that because it's part of the jelly roll strip. And I'm just threading. Yeah, a bit of thought would be a good idea. It's not a very sharp end. It's a huge hole in this needle as well, so I have nothing to complain about. And there we go. And I am literally going to tack a circle so that it springs up, and then I'm going to tack a circle on the end of it. Now, did you know that there's a right way to thread a needle and a wrong way, in the fact that the thread has a right way and a wrong way? So yeah, literally in and out, in and out, in and out, and we're just going for a little circle, and then we are going to tack all our loose ends, including the loose ends of this circle, into the ball. And you can spend as much time as you like on this. There we go. So if I pop that out there, and then these should naturally sort of curl inwards. So. And then very carefully Now I know I said that I'm going to, all I'm doing now is sealing the ends. I have every faith in the fact that just winding round those threads will hold this in place. Once it's on the sewing machine, it's not really going to come off, so it's not going to have a really hard life. And I will put a couple of stitches all the way through as well. So all I'm doing now is just picking up all these scraggly bits. Okay, so I guess that's a good place to stop, and then we're going to come back. Oh, I've nearly finished actually, except for the hand sewing at the end. And I'm going to either Velcro or tie with a bow my binding, and then I'm going to hand sew this onto there. So that's what we're left with. I hope you can see. I think it's really cute. Okay, alright, I'm going to pause for a minute and just catch up because I want to do it properly, which takes a bit longer than just, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Hello there. So I'm really pleased with it. It's strong enough to go through the washing machine, and actually just going to change the angle of that leaf. And you can do that. This is ideal wiggling time. So just running in to get to that leaf. We're in shot, aren't we? And I'm just going to pull him over slightly. So it makes sense to me. And obviously, because we were very sensible and we put our tacking stitches in a slightly different colour, yes, it's all nice and clear which ones we can take out, because I've just seen another one, that's all, whilst I'm sewing it. But yeah, so that's it from the back, and then that's it from the front. I think if I was to do it again, I wouldn't use a patch, I wouldn't use a stripe down the centre. I would just make sure that I had enough cloth. And it's not like I don't have enough cloth, I suppose in a way I just wanted to show you what to do with leftover scraggly bits of a jelly roll. Because especially if you make the log cabin quilt, you're going to find you're going to have quite a few little scraps, and they are, some of them are pieces that are only that long. So yes, I know. And then obviously the less popular colours, you've got nearly whole bits. Now I had a thought about what I'm going to do with how I'm going to attach it, because there was a bit of a debate, a sort of internal debate, whether I was just going to cut it short and use Velcro, or I was going to just tie it in a bow. And I've actually come to the conclusion I'm going to tie it in a bow, because I may, if it will be more use to me in the future if I've got an adjustable strap. I don't know how to describe it any better than that, but if I change machines, then I suppose I could sew a different ribbon on, but I really wanted it so that it was I can't imagine that I'd get a machine any bigger than this girth around here, but yeah. Is that going to work? So there we are, my pincushion. I need some pins. I need some pins. But I'm sure that will make life a lot easier for me. Yes, I think what I'll do is have it down the bottom. Yeah, and I can thread a bow. There we go. Yeah, no, I like it there. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.